All right, we have some more breaking news coming in. We're now learning that an Indian team of trade negotiators are set to travel to Washington, and this is going to be a meeting that will take place next week. Republic bringing you the first and exclusive input on the India-US trade talks. We're now learning that an Indian team of trade negotiators will be in Washington next week, and this team will be led by Chief Negotiator Rajesh Agarwal, and Commerce Ministry officers are also set to be a part of this delegation. This is the biggest scoop on the India-US trade negotiations. Comes just hours after Donald Trump made that statement saying that India and US are going to continue their trade talks. He's looking forward to speaking to, as he says, his good friend Prime Minister Modi, and that Washington believes that there will be no difficulty in reaching a successful conclusion. And this is the latest breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, that we are picking up. And this team, as we are learning, will be led by Chief Negotiator Rajesh Agarwal, and Commerce Ministry officers are also said to be a part of this delegation. And big development as far as the India-US trade talks are concerned. And all of this coming in the backdrop of Washington imposing a 50% tariffs on India, citing its continued support to Russia by purchasing Russian oil. And India has time and again maintained, ladies and gentlemen, that for us national interest is paramount, and that there's no hindrance as far as the India-US trade talks are concerned. But even with the ongoing deliberation between the two countries, India will always keep national interest first. And this is the biggest scoop that now we are picking up, that an Indian delegation is set to be in Washington next week to further the talks, the India-US trade talks between the two nations. In fact, let's get you a quick roundup of what Prime Minister Modi said earlier this morning in response to Donald Trump's latest statement on the India-US trade partnership. He said that the India and Washington are close friends. He looks forward to speaking with Donald Trump, and he's confident that there will be a breakthrough between the two countries as far as this trade deal is concerned. And this, of course, comes after US President Donald Trump, after imposing 50% tariffs, has now come out with a fresh statement saying that he's pleased to announce that India and the United States of America are continuing negotiations to address the trade barriers between the two nations. He looks forward to speaking with his very good friend, Prime Minister Modi, in the upcoming weeks. And he feels certain that there will be no difficulty in coming to a successful conclusion for both the trade countries. And the latest news breaking first and exclusive. This is the biggest scoop that Republic TV is breaking for you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go across to Senior Executive Editor Abhishek Kapoor joining me on the phone line. Abhishek, big development coming through. How do you view this?
Well, you see, first up, the breaking news development, which is that after the exchange that took place between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump, essentially through social media, things have been set rolling, and an Indian team of trade negotiators is all set to visit Washington, D.C. at the earliest. In fact, sources tell us that it could be as soon as next week. And this would be 7th round of talks, which means the trade talks are back on track and in good measure because of the kind of diplomacy that took place between the two sides. Diplomacy behind the scenes, and then, of course, at the front, led by Prime Minister Modi and President Trump. A tremendous amount of signaling to President Trump in the last 72 hours, in a major climb down, it can be called. But more specifically, this is about both sides realizing and not missing the larger picture, which is that it is the India-United States relationship which is the defining partnership, defined as defining partnership of the century, which should be shielded from turbulence. And so I think both the leadership coming around to the view that whatever turbulence of the past fortnight has to be put behind and focus firmly put on how to take this forward. So, of course, the Americans have some concerns on India's tariffs, and India has some concerns about protecting its farmers in the dairy sector. But not talking is not a way out is something, an understanding of which has been reached both on the Raisina Hill and the Capitol Hill between the South Bloc and the White House. And with the signaling that we saw between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump. The bureaucracy is now getting on the job, and Indian team of negotiators led by
Yes.
Chief Negotiator Rajesh Agrawal, all set to travel to Washington, D.C. next week.